I just wanted to get on here and say a few things to close this series. So first and foremost, I want to say thank you for watching, thank you for allowing me to share my story. Hopefully it was an inspiration to you in your journey, but if not, thank you for just allowing me to share mine, especially since I know these videos weren't perfect. I also wanted to point out a few things about these videos. So I was intentional about these, but I didn't want to put such a heavy emphasis on them. So if you didn't notice, some of the specific choices I made were the book cover. It was inspired by Erykah Badu's Worldwide Underground album. I listened to her and this album so much, especially before I even started my healing journey, so little shout out there. On TikTok I mentioned this, but there's two types of videos. So there's the journal type reflection. On these there's a mix of both journaling, which gave me a way of expressing myself, especially since I didn't have anyone who I could fully and completely share myself with. And then there was also me actually voicing my feelings. So yes, journaling was good, but I needed that moment to fully release those feelings out loud. And like I said, I didn't really have a therapist or anyone else who I could really express myself to, so this was really healing for me. And in these videos, I was able to look back at the root cause of these traumas and these cycles. I was able to take accountability for where I allowed myself to continue these cycles. There's a level of forgiveness in there for myself, as well as the ways I changed my mindset so I could stop these behaviors, so I could successfully move on and leave them in the past. So the other type of video was the living lesson, which were me acting out the things my younger self would have wanted to do or dreamed of doing herself. I think I would have at least fully expressed those dreams if I had the confidence, if I had the encouragement, if I had someone in my corner saying you could do it. And with these, I was intentional about the color of the covers. So these were the colors of the chakras. So if you feel like this will be part of your journey, these activities help me unblock mine, so maybe something similar can help you with yours. So those were like the main things I did. But with that being said, I do want to say again, because I also mentioned this in my first video, but healing is non-stop. Once you start, there really is no stopping. Yeah, you can fall back into old patterns and go back to situations you've outgrown, but they only delay the next step. That's it. And there's also no way of saying that you're fully healed, that you've completed healing, because there's always something. All healing does is allow you to find healthy ways to deal with the new and triggering energies that come your way. That's it. And there's no guidebook, like there's no one telling you what things to heal next, like what's coming, what you should do for this next thing. And that's why I say I went back to this part of my healing journey, because there was more to unpack there. The first time around, I was healing my confidence for the moment, for the now. But I knew I had to go back because part of me was hesitant about showing up as that new confident self. I knew that hesitation was coming from somewhere in the past, so that's why I took this next step to going back to my inner child, so I could figure out where that level of putting other people's reactions above my own comfort and above me showing up as my full self, where that came from. So that's where this journey kind of started and how it ended up being what it is today. So the next thing I wanted to do was be very transparent about my own healing journey, because you don't really see and hear everything, like where it really gets hard. So I did want to share a bit about my journey. I would like to think of my life in phases, especially because we moved a couple times when I was growing up. We moved after elementary school and then again after my freshman year of high school. So each city brought different energies, which also brought a lot of changes for my home and my family, and especially for me. So in elementary school, we were constantly in church. Our community, our friends, they were all from church. Everything we did was church. Parenting was based and backed in church, which left no room for disagreement. And I had my dreams of who I wanted to be and what I wanted to do in life, but slowly they were mocked and joked on for being unrealistic. In middle school, we weren't in church as much because new city, new environment. And while we did more as a family, I feel like I got less attention unless I was making jokes or being silly. So I kind of made that my thing. This was also a time I got more comments on my looks, my hair, my body. So then to hear these same things at school or seeing when I went on social media, it only made me feel like there was some truth in there. So this is the time where I got more and more doubtful of myself and I got more quiet. In high school, our home dynamic changed a lot. The comments and jokes were still coming, and they low-key increased. And because of who the comments were coming from, at that point, I was really feeling like they were my fault. So this is when I really had the mindset of, I don't want to make anyone comfortable. I really don't want to make anyone feel how I've been made to feel about myself. So this is when my people pleaser came out. And this is when I decided to create a mask, because I also wanted to kind of protect myself too. So when I was around others, I kind of became who they wanted me to be. And I was so doubtful of myself and my choices that I started trying to do the opposite of what I really wanted to do. This is also a point where I kind of just gave up control of my life. And honestly, it was easier because there was no risk in myself. I didn't really have to risk anything that I truly cared about. But because of that, after graduating and going to college, it was really hard for me. This is the time where most people start living for themselves and start doing the things that they've been planning to do for a while. But for me, I didn't give myself the chance to figure that out. Like, I had been living for everyone else for so long, I didn't take the time to ask myself what I wanted out of life and what I wanted to do. And I think that mixed with the fear of how I would have to show up, and then a couple other things in my circumstances, the mixture of all that caused me to be depressed. And then soon after, I ended up putting myself back into old situations that I knew I had outgrown. But even when they aren't good, there's still comfort in the familiar. And I think it was for my ego too, because I could say I had people. But I also didn't necessarily feel too bad because I knew I was being used in a similar capacity. But where I felt uncomfortable was, being in this space where I knew I didn't belong and shrinking myself so I wouldn't step on toes. So this is where the distraction started. I was working like 2-3 jobs at once, drinking a lot heavier, and finding natural herbal remedies. But like, those stopped working. The thoughts I was running from started sitting like right on the front of my mind, especially with those distractions. And I got more and more depressed. I was avoiding the truth. I wasn't where I needed to be or where I wanted to be. And then at the end of the day, I didn't have anyone around me who was actually for me. And I knew that was my fault, but I was definitely avoiding lonely. So eventually we get to quarantine, and that was my time, like a lot of others, to be distraction free, which was really hard because, again, like many others, is when my depression got really bad, like really bad. But it also gave me a chance to do some introspection. I also got to see some family that summer. My Auntie Kim and my cousin Michele, they became the two catalysts for my spiritual journey. So they have a very special place in my heart. They also both make some very amazing things, so I'll link both of their sites in my description. And this was also the time I first started my confidence healing. I was trying to be, more in my feminine energy, allowing myself to feel and not be so guarded and so logical with everything. But I quickly understood that I needed to change my environment and the people who I was around. But I really wanted to give everyone the benefit of the doubt because quarantine was hard for everybody, and some people could say they did show up for me, but I also knew that some people come around just so they can see. So 2021 was my year of unlearning all the negativity and the insecurities other people projected onto me for years. They had to go. I was welcoming in the new and doing things that I really wanted to do. And this is the time I finally let go of those old people and situations because I knew they truly had no place in my growth. 2022 was the year where my boundaries were tested. I had learned and loved myself so much, but boundaries were still a place of kind of weakness for me. So this was the time where I really had to stand on what I needed from everyone else. And now in 2023, we're here with some inner child healing and just, continuing my healing journey. I'm not sure what's next on my healing journey. Like I said, it just comes when it comes. But I do want to share more. I do want to have or even make a community of sharing and healing. So I was thinking of starting a Patreon, but I will post more when I decide to do that. And I know healing is such a personal thing, but I don't think it has to be done alone. I know I've dealt with a lot, but I haven't dealt with the worst. And I know that I could be helping someone right now who can be the same person that helps me in this next phase. So I do want to try to make that happen. I do know this is a lot, so again, I really thank you for watching and allowing me to share. If you're seeing this before March 20th, hopefully you're stepping into this astrological new year, a new more healed version of you. And even if it's after, I think spring is the perfect time to start healing and being more confident in yourself. So again, I want to thank you for watching and allowing me to share. And I'll see you next time.